once more into the breach. Yep, looking at yet another work from N-Space is what I'd imagine a teacher feels like when she reviews a bad student's homework 3 weeks into the semester with a sigh of dread. This was the attitude I had about 3 days ago while contemplating the Modern Warfare 2 DS game again, but honestly I'm not that down on it because there are signs that they're trying, I guess. The most notable being that they actually added a stylus button for the iron sights in this game, which is a blessing since the camera controls are still ass backwards. I know there wasn't much you can do to simulate a second joystick on the old DS's, but once again you end up using the 4-letter buttons for a second D-pad. Why are you still wasting the space? The animation and character design are still shit on toast terrible, but the locations actually look like a cohesive world now. I remember in Modern Warfare DS being so distracted by how grainy everything looked, and while that's still the case here, and while my recordings don't do the game justice, the locations actually look like the places they're simulating, and I can actually enjoy where I am and what I'm doing, and this time I can rightfully declare that the Modern Warfare Mobilized actually has one of the strongest plots in the entire franchise. Crazy, I know, but the entire plot of this game is a protracted example of the carrot chasing games. It's one of those games with one and only one objective that keeps moving away, the player reaches it only to be found at the end of the game. What are we chasing? A nuclear bomb, of course. Modern Warfare Mobilized, for what it is, actually looks great on the DS's capabilities, the bad design being quashed by the pros of actually having a plot, good environment design, and all of the gameplay features. It has its adventure game elements with all the hacking and disabling of things. We get javelin sequences, drone strike driving and helicopter gunning, a tank section, and even a repeat of the attack jet scene where we end the lives of buildings and white specks that try to pretend to be actual people. They added a lot, and it gives the good peaks and troughs that gaming needs to be a cohesive whole and a fun experience. So, in this case, Mobilized has to be the first great Call of Duty handheld game, right? Well, not exactly. What I'd say is that Mobilized has shown me that N-Space are committed to actually improving, but what kills the game's rating outright lies in these two things, its difficulty curve and its programming errors. Mobilized has an incredible problem setting its difficulty where it should be, and the core of its issue is that the player's health is fucked. The player in this game is held together with masking tape and a prayer, because if an enemy is able to pants you, then you can be completely killed in under 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 fucking seconds. That's not what you want in any shooter game ever. It takes away one of the biggest things that a shooter needs to be a good game, and that's giving the player a decent chance to return fire. The only way that you can get this chance is if you game the programming and learn where the enemies are so that you can surprise them one at a time, and that's just shit design and pathetic. This is just an as-is irritant throughout the entire game, but in one particular spot it makes the game almost unplayably frustrating, and I'm talking full tilt, screen fisting fury. That is where N-Space returns to the old COD standard and makes the final mission the difficulty spike that's almost insurmountable. And I'm sure has turned off a lot of players from finishing this game, because while this thing is less than 5 hours long, it doesn't grab the player at all during its runtime. The final mission of this game is finally, after like 6 attempts, we finally catch up to the nuclear bomb storage facility, and the game gives you a 10-minute timer to actually find and disarm that damn thing, which means another wave upon wave of shooting through Ruskies, and by this time, the players realize it's like walking into an invisible minefield filled with lying direction signs. The first like 6 or 7 minutes of the timer is pretty standard, but once you reach the bottom level of the oil rig, you better prepare your ass for a lot of lead-based remakes. This part of the game is where it's going for broke and trying to leverage so much difficulty in order to meet its minimum runtime. Like when a high schooler reaches his last note card and begins stalling for time in order to fill out the last 2 minutes of his speech, and the class realizes the scam in about 20 seconds. The first enemies rush you, and then they ambush you at the bottom, while simultaneously the game trolls you by spawning enemies behind the stairs like the great douchebag it's become, and then another several group of Ruskies leaves you at the final door, which is closing on yet another timer requiring you to run to the end and doing bullet dodges in order to make it. This is where the fun starts though. The same joy that can be found in the Nicaraguan American military base in Peace Walker, because after the cutscene of you sliding under the door, the game gives you back control only for you to be completely destroyed within 2 seconds of the cutscene, because this game gives you no fucking two-timing, pencil-pushing, greens-eating hell! And then you have to start the whole bit of the game all over again. I could have thrown the game out in disgust. A small part of me said I should have within the first hour of starting, but I guess I have too much self-respect to do that, and I pushed through to the final minigame, which actually was pretty good, designed well with the DS in mind, being N-Space's specialty. So, the game's hard, that's fine I suppose. I've dealt with my share in like the first 3 COD games, but what really kicks the bucket is that Mobilized has tons of programming problems. All over the game there's constant reminders that this game never QA'd its clipping problems. Solid objects being able to be shot through and ragdolls just doing whatever the hell they want, physics be damned. And another monkey that N-Space has on its back is its return of terrible music design, and while it is doing better, the great tracks are in a minority to 12-second stretches just to get through an enemy duo, or it dropping out right in the middle because the objective's been completed, leaving us with only the sounds of wind and our footfalls into the mud. The music is all over the place, and it only occurs when it ends up getting flagged. Another giant issue of this game is that its programming relies almost entirely on flags. No, I meant program flags! Enemy spawns come from thin air because of them. The NPC dialogue repeats all the time passing goes. And the pathfinding is owned by the flag dictatorship. The flags in this game have made Mobilized their bitch, and the great irony in having a game so disjointed and stilted is that this could have very well passed for a simulation twist ending. So yeah, that's pretty much Modern Warfare Mobilized. A perfectly titled game all about chasing one nuke throughout the entire world, and an example is N-Space trying to improve the DS's chances of hosting a competent FPS game, and while it still doesn't look that good and doesn't play well and it's about as artificial as a McDonald's cheeseburger, it has the story, it has the design, and it shows effort. The set pieces are the best part since they've added a ton of fun side activities to break up the endless deaths. I still wouldn't recommend the game to anybody, but maybe this experience will make the next COD handheld actually worthwhile. For what it's worth to the developer, I didn't end up hating it as much as I thought I was, and I was a bit surprised for someone to actually beat my pessimism. Good show, guys. Good show. Oh yeah, I almost forgot your victory for gamers. Sorry about that.